Lost Origin state of the game for the Pokemon trading card game. We're just about in November now, towards the end of October, and I think Lost Origin was amazing. Lost Origin was it is the most fun, creative, uh, explorative, meta-defining set I think we've gotten in a long time. And more so than just one card or one new deck or one engine, because we got the Lost Zone engine and we got several Lost Zone decks out of it. You can play Lost Zone box with Mirage Gates, without Mirage Gates, with Tina, without Tina. We also got some, spin-off decks of the Lost Zone stuff like Lost Zone Gudra, which ended up being more successful as Arceus Gudra, finding it where Arceus found kind of the new Arceus deck for the metagame, but also other Arceus decks have succeeded as well. I think there's just I said it best in a tweet a few weeks ago that we have decks of every combination of uh, prize card values. So we have completely single prize decks. We have single prize and two prize decks. So like regular Pokemon plus V Pokemon. And we have just V Star based decks. We have just V Max based decks. And we have decks of all three single prize, double prize, and three prize Pokemon. And I think this has created enough revolving strategies that you'll face in a tournament. It's created enough different Pokemon cards that this format checks all of the checks for me. It checks all the way down the list for me. This format because we have a diverse field of decks that are succeeding and being played at both casual, mid, and aggro competitive levels. We have we have decks that are very strong. It's good to have a defined metagame of what the best decks are because that's how the metagame further forms. If the metagame was just 5% flat of every single deck, then the metagame never evolves into anything else if everyone is just playing some of each deck. But we have Palkia at the top, we have Giratina at the top, we have Lost Zone Box at the top. That's how the meta evolves, and we get things like Arceus Gudra performing well. We get things like Vikavolt V having a chance, even though it's a card from 2+ years ago. Uh, so this format has been very fun to watch, even though I didn't get to compete in it, unfortunately, in any official events. I think Lost Origin did mostly, possibly only good things for the game. And the way they've designed Lost Origin and the future Silver Tempest set makes me very, very hopeful for what they're bringing with Scarlet and Violet. And I'll talk more about this in future videos, but I I almost want to take back some of the criticisms about the early and mid Sword and Shield days and sets, because were the cards unin uninventive and very plain and bland, and did it create boring gameplay? Yes. But I think if the pandemic never happened, we may have had Sword and Shield be a boom for new players because the game was very entry level all around. But with that being said, I think Lost Origin was fantastic for the game in general. I wish Lost Origin was not going to be one of the shortest lived new sets since Silver Tempest is so soon after it. But Silver Tempest doesn't really take away or add new things that are going to change the format completely. It will add Lugia V-Star as a deck. It may add Regidrago V-Star as a deck. It may give Vikavolt a boost with Regieleki VMAX, and we'll get some new tools like V-Guard Energy and Serena. But overall, I think I'm treating Silver Tempest as more of an addition set, kind of like we did from NAIC with Astral Radiance into Worlds with Pokemon Go. That's kind of how I'm looking at the Silver Tempest release, being kind of an augmentation or a little cherry on top of the Lost Origin format until we see what Scarlet and Violet holds for us with the rotation coming shortly after the new year. We still don't have any information about the rotation date, but I'm assuming Scarlet and Violet will release in February, and rotation will happen either February or March. So I'm really excited to get more information about that so I can start creating content for players getting ready to either start the Pokemon TCG, come back to the Pokemon TCG, or just what existing players should do to prepare for the rotation. So I will be doing all of that once we actually have information on it. And I don't have that much to say today. I just have a lot of positive stuff to say about Lost Origin. You know, I love the skill floor and skill ceiling of the current format. There are decks like Arc Duraludon, Arc Gudra, Regigigas, Cure MV Max that are going to be a little easier to play at a satisfactory level. But there's also decks like Palkia and Teleon and Giratina Lost Zone that are incredibly hard to pilot at even a satisfactory rate, let alone a masterful rate. So this format gives us all kinds of diversity and all kinds of decks to choose from, whether you're playing casual at local events or regional events. I think Lost Origin was a knock out of the park. I think they knocked it out of the park with Lost Origin. Really, really loved the set. The Lost Zone mechanic coming back was amazing because they did it in such a beautiful way. It felt like quest cards from Hearthstone was the best way I could describe it, because you have tiers that you almost unlock as you progress your Lost Zone's state, where you get to use Cramorant at 4 Lost Zone cards, you get to use Mirage Gate at 7 Lost Zone cards, and then at 10 Lost Zone cards, it unlocked Giratina's V-Star power, Sableye Lost Mine attack, and also Fantina, which unfortunately didn't get much play, but thankfully Fantina was the only card that really didn't get to see a lot of success in this format. But Fantina is still great for creative and fun play and trying it out in decks. You know, even if Fantina never sees the light of day in a top 8 of a regionals or IC, I think it was still not an awful card either for deck building or awful for the game or anything like that. I think most of the things in Lost Origin were done right. If not all of the things in Lost Origin were done right. So I'm a big fan of Lost Origin. I'm a fan of what they're doing with Silver Tempest, not introducing anything that's broken that will have ripple effects for Scarlet and Violet. They did very well with that, and I'm just going to assume they learned from Cosmic Eclipse, because they released some broken stuff in Cosmic Eclipse right before Sword and Shield and kind of doomed the early Sword and Shield from having an impact or having a grasp on the metagame like they might have wanted it to. So I think they did really well with Lost Origin, really well with Silver Tempest, and I can't wait to see what they do with Scarlet and Violet. So that's the state of the game today for the Lost Origin format. And thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel for daily Pokemon TCG content, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's